Special thanks to Tokyo Treat and Sakurako for sponsoring today's video. Before we get started, there'll be spoilers for the 1000-year Blood War arc of Bleach in the video to come. And we're back with another edition of our Klub Outside Q&A Roundup series, where, as always, Kubo takes and answers a variety of questions directly from fans over on his personal Q&A platform. And then we try to dissect those answers right here and see if there's anything of value to be found. A lot of the time, Kubo's comments are a mix of light-hearted chatter and fluff, but sometimes we are given real, genuine insight into the story and world of Bleach that, for whatever reason, simply wasn't found in the original material. As before, I'm not going to be looking at every single answer, nor even necessarily looking at them in any kind of chronological order. Mostly, I'm trying to curate the answers that I find to be the most interesting, and those that have the most value, the most to be gleaned. And this time we are eating pretty good, I think, with some information on a couple of Shikai, which should be a lot of fun to discuss. And so, speaking of which, this time the questions revolve around the true nature of Yuyu Yayahara's Shikai as shown in the Hell chapter, what Isane's Shikai can do, how Espada replacements are chosen, and more. As always, a huge thank you goes out to M Shadows for providing the translations to the questions and answers, and as always there is a link in the description to where you too can find them, so make sure to check them out. Right, on with the latest roundup. We'll begin with the topic of Yuyu Shikai, as Kubo talking about the Hell chapter is always exciting. In the Hell chapter, Kubo introduced us to two new vice captains. Atao Rindo, the new vice-captain of the 7th Division, and Yuyu Yayahara, the new vice-captain of the 8th Division, a young girl obsessed with modern trends from the human world, including gyaru fashion and social media. During the chapter, both vice-captains travel to the human world to partake in the ritual of Konso Reisai for the deceased Jushiro Ukitake, along with Ichigo and the rest of the vice-captains before they come under attack by a group of Hell Hollows. The ensuing showdown with the mysterious monstrosities presented Kubo with a great opportunity to show what some of these characters can do, both completely new faces and just those that have been newly promoted, except for Kione and Sentaro, who will seemingly never get the chance to do anything cool. Atao Rindo revealed his Shikai in a pretty straightforward manner, to be honest, showcasing how it works and what it can do. But Yuyu Yayahara's performance was a little more abstract. Scaling the ribcage of a Hell Hollow killed by Atao moments earlier, Yuyu leaps into the air and brings her hands together in the shape of a jaw, before tearing through the Hell Hollow like they're nothing, ripping through them with ease as the image of a gigantic, ferocious bear appeared behind her. Her fingernails are the focal point here, and we can even see what looks like decorative fangs on each of them. But what exactly is this ability? How does it work? Yuyu takes huge chunks out of the Hell Hollows as though an enormous bear is mauling them right before our very eyes, and numerous theories floated around as to what this power could be. Perhaps this was Yuyu Shikai on full display. It would make sense with the flow of the chapter, as Atao had just revealed his own Shikai mere moments before, but this time there was no Zanpakutō in sight. Then maybe it was just a special Hakuda ability. Perhaps Yuyu even had the power to transform into a bear, and this was just a taste of that. Well, a reader decided to ask Kubo himself with the following question regarding Yayahara Yuyu. When she arrived in the world of the living in the Hell arc, I didn't see her carrying a Zanpakutō, but instead she was fighting with her bare hands. I'm sure there was no pun intended there. Was she using Hakuda, or does her Zanpakutō transform into her nails while in Shikai? This is a great, direct question about something people actually care about, and is exactly the sort of thing we need more of from the Klub Outside Q&A. Of course, since someone has directly asked Kubo about the Hell arc, even going so far as to call it the Hell arc in the question, That now means that it's been pushed back however many years, but them's the breaks. Anyway, Kubo responded, saying, "Her Shikai is her nails indeed. For the sake of stylishness, she often uses her Shikai despite being scolded about it. By those from other squads, that is." So I actually really like this answer. It's a lot of fun and says a lot about both Yuyu and the division that she's currently a part of. So, her fingernails are her Shikai confirmed. This is cool. That's a very unique Shikai and I am all for it. I wonder what its actual ability is then. Is the bear her Zanpakutō spirit? Does it have to be a bear, or can she just mimic the jaws of any kind of carnivorous, bloodthirsty animal? And how do the nails actually work in practice? Are they useless unless she brings her hands together in that sort of snapping-like motion, or do they work like a bear's paws when separated? So, for example, could Yuyu bring just one hand down and slash someone like with a huge pair of claws? There are still a lot of questions, and of course we don't even know the Zanpakutō's name. Still, this is already more than we know about Iba's Shikai. Now, Kubo mentions that for the sake of stylishness, Yuyu often uses her Shikai, and that is interesting to me. My immediate thought is that Yuyu must have a great relationship with her Zanpakutō. For starters, she clearly loves the way the nails look, which obviously bodes very well for their bond, but also she must be using Shikai continuously, pretty much all the time. Now, I'm not really sure if there is any word on how exhaustive it is or not to use Shikai constantly, but still it feels quite impressive to me, and the Zanpakutō clearly doesn't have an issue with it. Funnily, the Seirete used to have a rule that officers weren't allowed to carry their Zanpakutō unless there was a wartime exemption, as seen in the Soul Society arc, and I wonder if that's still ongoing, if that extends to Yuyu's nails. And finally, I love the idea that she is often told off for using her Shikai when it isn't deemed necessary to do so. And that's interesting in and of itself, because for some Shinigami, maybe it is perceived as being quite threatening and just straight up dangerous that she's walking around with essentially a bear attached to her hands at all times. But most of all, I love the addendum to this answer where Kubo notes that she's only scolded by Shinigami from other squads, meaning her captain Lisa Yadomaru and the others from Squad 8 are probably not only fine with it, but really into Yuyu's nails and her fashion and just have no problem with it whatsoever, and in fact probably even encourage it to some degree. That's a really nice, albeit tiny piece of world building, and goes some way to showing you the kind of division that Lisa is fostering under her leadership now. So yeah, this was a great question and answer. Here's hoping we get another chance to see Yuyu Shikai in action in the future. However, that isn't the only Shikai news this month. Kubo also gave us a little insight into Isane Kotetsu Shikai Itegumo, which we see for the first and only time back in the Soul Society arc. I really wish these answers had come about 2 months ago when I did my every Shikai and Bleach video, but there you go. After Ichigo rescues Rukia and Renji then escapes with her, 3 vice captains are ordered to give chase: Chojuro Sasakibe, Marechio Omaida, and Isane Kotetsu. All 3 of them activate their Shikai for the first time in the series, and it's here that we see Itegumo. It's a pretty simple looking Shikai on the surface, simply sprouting 2 shorter blades angled diagonally from the guard outwards to give the Zanpakutō a 3-pronged appearance, almost like a fan. We also learned its name, which means frozen snow, giving us our only real hint towards what it might be capable of. However, Isane is instantly defeated by Ichigo, and unlike both Chojuro and Omaida, never got the chance to wield her Zanpakutō again. So, since then, we've speculated what her Zanpakutō could be all about. The name definitely hinted at an ice-type Zanpakutō, and now that Isane is a captain as of the end of the series, it definitely feels like we need a little more information on what she's capable of. Well, someone agreed, and decided to ask Kubo about Isane's Zanpakutō with the following question, which reads: what are the abilities of Isane Kotetsu Zanpakutō Itegumo? Since she's a member of Squad 4, I imagine they are healing related. It's nice to see Kubo actually answering a question like this, even if his answer leaves a little to be desired, as he replied, it's an ice-snow type Zanpakutō with healing properties. Okay, well, I mean, we mostly already knew that. It's nice to have it confirmed, however, that Itegumo can heal people, but considering she is a member of the 4th Division, that always seemed like a guarantee. That being said, as I mentioned a minute ago, it is pretty cool to see Kubo taking such direct questions about Zanpakutō and their abilities like this. He normally dodges it in some way. To be honest, I'm legitimately surprised he didn't turn around and say he knows what her Zanpakutō does, but it's a secret for now, as he's planning on using it in the future. In fact, the fact that he didn't say that, maybe that doesn't bode well for Isane, but I digress. Anyway, it's nice to at least have that nailed down. The idea that this is an ice-snow type Zanpakutō is pretty cool though. I can imagine Itegumo having some aesthetically beautiful abilities when in use. But speaking of which, what exactly are its abilities? Perhaps this is better suited for a separate video in the future, but let's have a quick discussion as to what Itegumo could do, and how it could be used. It's weird. Considering Isane is never seen using her Zanpakutō to actually heal people in the source material, and we do see her healing people on occasion, such as Rukia after her battle with Araniero and Rose and Kensei after their fight with Masked Masculine, it makes me wonder if its healing prowess isn't all that great. If it was, wouldn't she use it in those dire circumstances? Or maybe it simply isn't capable of the kind of intensive healing that was required in those specific instances. All 3 of those characters I just named were essentially on death's door by the time Isane got to them. It is noted by Kubo that Itegumo has healing properties, not necessarily that it specifically revolves around healing. Perhaps Itegumo is only useful at healing the more surface level injuries. But what if Isane's Shikai applies a layer of ice or snow to her patient's wounds, and then that ice kind of melts over time and then heals their injury? Could it be that Itegumo's healing is somehow related to snowflakes? It would be cool if the snowflakes themselves, with their almost tessellating web-like appearance, stitched together cuts and slashes, freezing them back into place. Considering Itegumo's release command is run, what if it somehow pours water over the injury before freezing it and applying healing that way? And yeah, as I mentioned a second ago, it is also highly possible that the healing aspect of Itegumo simply isn't its main draw. There's a fiery, confrontational side to Isane that doesn't come out often, but it is absolutely there, and perhaps that is reflected in her Zanpakutō as well. Maybe the healing is just an offshoot of Itegumo's true power. At the end of the day, I really have no idea. This answer is definitely a little more reserved than the one about Yuyu Shikai, that's for sure, but still, I am very happy to get it. Zanpakutō reveals are always exciting, and I can't help but wonder what the anime has in store for us in regards to characters like Isane. She's going to be around for the remainder of the story for the most part, so I'm hopeful that maybe she will get to wield Itegumo one more time before this is all over. Let me know in the comments, what do you think Itegumo can do? Before we carry on with the other 2 topics, first, a message from today's sponsor. So, with summer on the way out and the seasons changing once again, Tokyo Treat and Sakurako are back to help you experience the Japanese lunar celebration of Tsukimi with 2 moon-themed offerings this month, and Mrs. Tomo and I are going to take a look. First up is Tokyo Treat, with its theme Moonfest Snacktacular. Tokyo Treat is a monthly Japanese snack box that features unique and seasonal flavours from all across Japan. Each box contains a variety of up to 20 fun and exclusive Japanese snack items, like limited edition Kit Kats and some Japanese sodas that are only available in Japan for a limited time. As part of this month's theme, some of the snack highlights include Golden Moon Senbei, Banana Castella, and the awesomely named Premium Black Thunder Butter flavour.
Okay, so we're going to try the Premium Black Thunder Butter flavour.
We have to try it. Look, it's got the coolest name in the box. What does it taste like inside? Give me a lowdown. Give me a review.
Tastes like thunder. Kind of caramelly.
Reminds me of, if you're in the UK, Penguin Bar.
Oh, it's much better than a penguin, but yeah.
Yeah, but it reminds me of it.
It's like a premium penguin. So next up, purely for the aesthetic, I want to try this because there's a really cute bear on it.
He is very cute, yeah. And it says delicious, and why would he lie?
Why would he lie? Does that look like the face of a liar to you? Wow! Oh my god, they are very caramelly.
Getting popcorn all over my new studio floor.
These oh, wow. They're very, very coated.
What he has to do with the popcorn, I'm not entirely sure. But
I think he makes it.
does he? That's a talented bear. I'm just consulting the booklet to see what kind of credentials this bear has. He has none. It doesn't say.
Apparently they're meant to remind you of the full moon. Meanwhile, Sakuriko's theme this month is the Autumn Moon Festival. Sakuriko is a monthly Japanese artisan snack box that supports local snack makers. Each box comes with 20 traditional authentic Japanese snacks, including Japanese teas. Included this month is the special Tsukimi Ruakucha tea and a stunning piece of Japanese tableware, the Tsukimi dish plate. Some of the snack highlights this month include Tsukimi Macan Cream Cookie, Chestnut Dorayaki, Kodaimai Senbei, and more.
You just discovered the strange
I found it.
lemon-baked chocolate.
Yeah, Colombian, Harajuku. I'm cracking it. Oh, it's so small. In the pit, I thought it was like a little.
I thought it was like a muffin.
It's a proper little, like, tiny, bright yellow chocolate. Oh my god. Yeah, that is amazing. It's like they've shrank down a lemon cheesecake into a glorious ball of goodness.
That's a very apt description, yeah.
I saw these and I was like, we absolutely have to try them. It's the Usagi Hosui. Hosui?
Yep, okay.
Hosui? They're basically the little marshmallow-like bunnies. Oh, look at his little face. Hello. Hello.
Now you're going to eat his face.
I'm going to eat you.
And to go along with the snacks inside, each box comes complete with a detailed booklet that tells you everything you need to know, from all-important allergen information to the history behind the month's chosen theme. For example, this month is centered around Tsukimi, or moon viewing. But that's it for September's moon-themed boxes. As always, I want to say a big thank you to Tokyo Treat and Sakuriko for continuing to support the channel by sponsoring today's video. If you want to treat yourself or someone you know to one of these boxes, then make sure to follow the links down in the description, the pinned comment below, and use my code TOMO for $5 off your purchase. Thanks everyone, and enjoy. Alright, and for the third topic this time around, it is yet another look at the inner workings of the Espada. We've been all over these guys lately, but this was another interesting tidbit about them. There have been various shifts in the Espada lineup over the years. While the timeline is murky, we know that there are at least 2 generations of Espada, but that previous generation is a real mystery in many ways. Isane clearly began building the Espada at some point early in his quest to create an army of Arrancar, even before the Hogyoku came into the picture. Characters like Dordoni, Tsuruchi, Gantenbane, and even Aronniero were all members of the original generation, but most of them were displaced when the Hogyoku allowed characters like Neutra and Xyloporo to ascend the ranks. It's always been a tad confusing, though. Zamari notes that Aronniero was the last of the first generation Espada, but we see that Neutra has been an Espada for so long that he was promoted from the 8th to the 5th. So this means that Neutra replaced the original 8th Espada before then being promoted upwards. So he's ascended quite a bit over quite a short amount of time. Anyway, the crux of the matter is, how do these Espada replacements actually work? How do characters like Luffy become the 6th Espada? And that's an interesting question. It's always been weird to me, and it is something we have discussed at length recently. Why wouldn't Zomari automatically be promoted to Grimmjow's spot once Grimmjow was kicked out? Originally, there wouldn't have been a reason. It doesn't make sense for there to be an Arrancar stronger than Zomari and for Aizen to have not already included them in the Espada. But nowadays, we know Zomari doesn't represent destruction, and therefore it was never in the cards for him to become the 6th Espada. I'm going off on too many tangents here, so let's just narrow it down and get straight to the question at hand that reads, does Aizen decide the Espada replacements? Or is it similar to the title of Kenpachi, in which the victor replaces the previous one and Aizen simply assigns them a number? And in response, Kubo delivered a somewhat pithy answer, replying, both scenarios are applicable. Okay, fair enough, I suppose. Considering Aizen has been essentially hand-picking Espada since day one to build his ideal army, I am surprised that any kind of Kenpachi-style promotion by murder system exists. I would have thought that someone like Aizen would have wanted to maintain complete control over the process at all times, rather than kind of let things play out among the Arrancar. Yes, infighting would be natural among Hollows, but I always thought the notion was that Aizen tried to stamp out their more animalistic Hollow instincts and force civility upon these creatures. The way we see the Espada depicted, sitting around an ornate table, uniformed and sipping tea, isn't their natural way, but something Aizen has kind of introduced and imposed as the new king of the Arrancar. So, while it might be natural for Hollows to want to kill and devour each other for power, I'm surprised that anything like that would have been allowed to happen. That being said, it is very telling that there are only a few Privarone Espada in the story. Where are the rest? At rank 103, Dordoni is the highest ranked member of the former Espada and was presumably demoted by Aizen at the expense of Nell, who clearly wasn't the type to kill Dordoni for his position. But it's possible the rest of the fallen Espada are indeed all dead. It's fascinating to think about, and I would love more insight into the older Espada. If there was a previous generation of Espada, then that means there were previous versions of the first and second Espada too. In one of my last videos, I mentioned that perhaps the second Espada position held the aspect of death time because of Baragon, but that can't be. Baragon isn't a member of the first generation of Espada, meaning he took that spot from someone else, someone who already embodied time. The light novel Spirits Are Forever With You has the character of Picaro as Arrancar 102, meaning they were the former second Espada before Baragon, which doesn't seem right to me with what we know about the aspects. I guess Picaro being a group of children could be seen as the direct opposite extreme of Baragon, but who knows? So it's highly possible that much of the Privarone Espada were killed by those who took their place. In the same way that it's likely that Luffy was hand-selected by Aizen to succeed Grimmjow. This is an interesting question for sure, and I kind of feel like Kubo just sort of went with it here, sadly, not really deciding to flesh out an answer at all, but alas. Anyway, our final topic this time round is, as we usually try and do, a slightly more light-hearted one, looking at the potential relationship between Masaki Kurosaki and Kane Katagiri. The question reads as follows. When they were in the Ishida residence, did Katagiri and Masaki ever talk to each other? As two girls that were close in age, I think it would have been cute. Katagiri's tenure as a servant seemed quite long, and it didn't seem like she had many friends either. I'm not entirely sure where that last part really comes from, but still, Masaki and Katagiri getting along is a nice sentiment. It's definitely true that they both felt as though they didn't quite belong in the Ishida household and were looked at differently by the main family. Masaki, of course, was taken in by the Ishidas as the last remaining member of the Kurosaki family, while Katagiri was seen as inherently lesser, due to her status as a gemished Quincy, one of mixed blood status. So perhaps they found some solace in that together. Well, Kubo responded, saying, "They did. Since Masaki is the type of person to talk to everyone, Katagiri, who was close to her in age, was like a friend to her." First of all, I like that Kubo implies it was Masaki who first reached out to Katagiri. That makes a lot of sense to me based on what we know of each of their characters. I do wonder if Masaki's arranged marriage to Ryuken was ever cause for conflict, even if Katagiri didn't let it be known, since she had been in love with Ryuken for many years herself. But it is nice to know that Masaki did have a friend in Katagiri, and kind of in Ryuken, though he always appeared quite standoffish, desperate to uphold and do right by his position as one of the soon-to-be heads of the Ishida family. I do wonder if Masaki and Katagiri kept in touch at all after Masaki was kicked out of the household, but perhaps Katagiri was forbidden from doing so. I assume they didn't, or else you'd think Ichigo and Uri would have met a little earlier than they actually did. Alright, but that's it for this installment of the Klub Outside Q&A Roundup series. As always, I really hope you enjoyed it, and I hope you took something of value away from it as well. This one was a good one, I think, getting information on 2 different Shikai, Yuyu Yayahara's still unnamed Shikai, and Isane Kotetsu's Itegumo. Both very interesting reveals, one a little more in-depth than the other, but still, I'm grateful to get them. Let me know which topic was the most interesting to you this time around, which one did you like the most? Was it one of the topics about the Shikai, perhaps it was about the Espada Replacements, or maybe it was the topic about Masaki and Katagiri being kind of friends back in the past? Either way, I'd love to hear your thoughts down in the comments below. And as always, I want to end the video by saying a massive thank you and giving a huge shout out to my wonderful supporters over on Patreon, without whom I wouldn't be able to do this, and I really appreciate each and every one of you. If you love what I do here over on YouTube and you too want to support me that extra step further, thank you. You can do just that by visiting my Patreon link in the description below, and by supporting me at the $1 a month tier, you can get your name in the credits of every single video just like this, and by supporting me at the $2 tier or higher, you can get every single video I release absolutely free of baked-in YouTube ads. Alright everyone, once again I hope you enjoyed the video, thank you so much for watching, and until next time I'll catch you later, and I'll see you then.